The worst thing my wife could have ever done to me. There's a lot to explain, but a quick backstory. My wife 24F and I 26M have been together since high school. Her dad was never in her life, but she's had a very supportive mom. After high school we went to different colleges, and while I was away at college, my wife had reconnected with her father. She was excited to find out more about him since he wasn't around while she was growing up, and I was excited for her to be able to get to know him. Just before I finished school her father took a job several states away and she hasn't been able to see him since. They've kept in touch through email and sporadic phone calls to keep each other updated, but I've never met or spoken to him. After I finished my degree we moved in together and tied the knot. We had a beautiful wedding surrounded by friends and family, but her father wasn't invited because my wife hadn't told her mother that she reconnected with her father. I felt that it was wrong to keep it a secret, but I didn't say anything because that was her truth to tell and it was my place to say anything. We've been married for 2 years now, and a month ago I couldn't imagine a life without her. Now I'm not sure if I can ever look at my wife again. End of backstory. A couple months ago my wife announced that her dad was coming for a visit, and possibly moving to be closer to her. She was ecstatic and her smile has always been the highlight of my day, so we were both happy to hear the news. We talked about the possibility of having him moving in with us short term until he could find a place of his own. And to give her credit in the situation, she seemed as if she was more concerned with how I felt and she wanted to make sure I would be okay with it. I told her that would be fine with me and I absolutely supported her reconnecting with her dad, but I also said it would be hard to know for sure because I've never met him and don't know much about him. This was all preemptive conversation to see how we both felt about the situation, and her dad moving closer to us wasn't a certainty yet, but it felt like we were on the same page. Well, last month her dad got into town and we took him out to dinner at a local Italian restaurant. Once we got to the restaurant she suddenly became distant and I immediately felt like something was off. When she saw her dad she immediately ran up and jumped in his arms, except when she did this she wrapped her legs around him mid-air and he proceeded to walk inside holding her like a child. This was completely out of character for her, and I had no idea how to even react to my 24-year-old wife being carried into a restaurant like a 6-year-old child. After that moment I felt like the third wheel for the entire evening. She never introduced me to him, which I thought was odd. When I introduced myself I don't think he ever even looked at me. Every time I tried to join the conversation, it's like I wasn't there. And my wife, who doesn't normally drink, was suddenly having several glasses of wine. I was trying best to not overreact because this was her dad that she didn't get to know growing up, and she hasn't been able to see him in a couple of years. But it didn't feel like we were at a family dinner, it felt like I was watching my wife while she was on a date with an older man. They were whispering to each other, holding hands, telling stories and laughing. The entire night felt inappropriate and maybe I was misreading the entire situation, but I just couldn't wait to leave. I figured we would talk about everything when we got home, but while walking to the car my wife yelled out, "Just follow us." To my surprise and without conversation she had apparently decided that her dad would be staying at our house after all. When I said we hadn't talked about him staying there, she blew up and yelled that we definitely talked about it and agreed that he should. I was shocked because she has never yelled at me before. I tried to remind her that I also said it would be hard to know for sure if I was comfortable with him staying with us because I've never met him and don't know much about him. To that she responded, "Now you've met him, so it's fine." We didn't talk the rest of the way home, and as soon as we got there it was just a continuation of our night at the restaurant, except somehow worse. They decided to continue drinking and opened another bottle of wine. Her father was now being slightly flirtatious and kind of handsy, which was making me nauseous. At this point it felt like an episode of Black Mirror and I had enough. I decided I was leaving and would stay at a hotel. Without saying a word I packed a bag. When I walked through the living room towards the door my wife freaked out, asking where I was going and why. That's when everything that I had bottled up from the entire evening came spilling out. I told her how I felt they had been inappropriate all night, how overwhelmingly uncomfortable I had been, and how for the first time since we met I don't recognize her. She started telling me that I was being ridiculous and that I was overreacting. She said that I needed to loosen up. While yelling back and forth I told her that I wasn't interested in being around her or her father if that's how they insisted on acting. After several minutes of us yelling back and forth her dad blurted out, "Just tell him." Both of us stared at each other and I was stunned by what that could have meant. That's when she began confessing to me that this man was not her real dad. I was shocked and speechless and somewhat relieved and extremely confused. My heart was in my throat and a cold sweat engulfed me. She continued telling me that while I was away at college, she had met Don, fake name, at a party and they were seeing each other off and on. And while cheating on me she had developed a kink for role play and would pretend that Don was her father when they slept together. She told me that Don did take a job in another state and that she had kept in touch with him, all this time telling me that he was her father. When he told her that he was moving back, she had hoped that he would be able to move in with us permanently. Suddenly a lot of things started making sense, things I hadn't questioned. The reason he wasn't at our wedding, the reason she never told her mother, the reason I hadn't met him or talked to him until now. I took the man that slept with my wife to dinner, then paid for it. I didn't say anything to her. I just walked out, threw up in the yard, and left. I've been staying at a hotel for a month now just trying to process the entire situation. I haven't told my family anything, I haven't talked to coworkers, I just feel like I'm in survival mode. She's tried calling several times and she's left voice messages to come home to them and that we can work things out together. I've always tried to be rational and logical, but I have no idea what to do. Do I get divorced? Well, obviously I have to get divorced. But how do I explain any of this to friends or family? Would it be easier to just change my name and disappear? Do I leave the country? If I do start over, how could I ever trust anyone again when I've spent a third of my life getting to know someone, and it turns out I never actually knew them?
Relevant comments. Fishing 1980. This must be fake, but if not, tell her family and your family the truth. Get a lawyer and file for divorce. Have all communication go through the lawyer and never talk to her again. When everything is done, move to be close to just your family and friends and cut her and everything about her out of your life.
OP. I wish it was fake. For a couple of days she called trying to play it off as a joke of some kind, but she's given up trying to play it off. And as much as I'd love to just move home to get away from all of this, her mother lives across the street from my parents. So instead I'm looking at transferring to another region with my employer after everything is settled. I do have an appointment with a lawyer this Friday. I just want to put all of this behind me now.
Beneficial Ball 8375. I hope you are one of those smart people who turn level 5 survival mode on. This would be the time for that. You need an appointment with a doctor ASAP, STD testing. Make sure you are healthy and she hasn't infected you with something from her cheating. If you can't face your parents, mutual friends, or other family, write a letter to your closest family member, to the one who'll understand that you have no capacity right now, in terms of energy and emotions, to do it yourself, and ask them to spread the word for you. The lawyer will give you detailed information about what you can do, legally. He will inform you what info you need to collect, which, shared, accounts you might freeze, not touch, or how you should proceed with your living arrangement. You need an outlet. Do not search this outlet at the bottom of a bottle. Go to the gym or by yourself, something that you can punch, or visit your nearest animal shelter and take some glad little fellow to a very, very long walk. The level of lunacy, your STB ex-wife is mentally in a very, very dark place, is actually super hard to overcome. Please consider therapy, if that is financially possible. ATM. Be as transparent as you need to be with those who need a heads up, mostly your employer. I am going through a rough time, I will probably get divorced very soon. My wife has cheated on me for almost the entirety of our relationship. That is the truth and there is nothing more to add. This is all the information they would need. From the bottom of my heart, I wish you all the best.